Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. And today we have three rather interesting things. Actually, we've got so much working backwards through the L's. You know, L is not a major letter in the world of classical music, with the exception of Liszt, who's coming up next. Hang on there. A couple other people. But I mean, it's not like the M's, where you get like Mahler, Mendelssohn, Mozart, you know, those people, or the B's. Goodness gracious, the B's, or the S's. You know, they're the major composer letter people. And then, you know, you get interesting stuff with the letter L, I think. You really do. And we're starting with Alonso Lobo, sacred music, including his Missa Maria Magdalena with the Tallis Scholars. Now, Lobo, let me see if I can find his dates here. He was one of those Spanish Renaissance composer guys, along with like Victoria and did they tell us? Yes, Guerrero, Alonso Lobo, 1555 to 1617. Okay, there he is. It's probably in here and I never noticed it. Yeah, it wasn't there and I never noticed it. Beautiful music in that style of Palestrina and Victoria, and, you know, all of those guys. And lovely, just lovely, well worth hearing, fabulously performed. You get the motet Maria Magdalena by Francisco Guerrero, who was another one of those people, contemporary of Lobo. Well, he was earlier than Lobo. And you also get a pile of motets. So, yeah, definitely worth hanging on to. Then, oh, yeah, of course, George Lloyd. This is my overflow George Lloyd. Most of my George Lloyd, as you know, is upstairs because we're running through all the George Lloyd symphonies and doing all kinds of interesting things. But and his stuff has all been reissued, thank God, on Nimbus, including a symphonic mass, an absolutely beautiful, beautiful work. Featuring here the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, the Brighton Festival Chorus, under the composer. 60 minutes. A good, big first half choral masterpiece. Actually, I'm going to do something with this. Hang in there, folks, because, yeah, we have to do something with that. That's on Albany. And then we've got the Vigil of Venus, which is a secular choral work, which is yummy and lots of fun. This is with the orchestra and chorus of the Welsh National Opera. 77-minute work, beautiful work too. Lloyd was not entirely happy with this recording, as I recall him telling me. I think he thought that the circumstances of the recording didn't allow everybody to do their very best work. And this is not in the complete Lloyd collection, as far as I know, because it's on Argo, and I think they would have to have licensed it or given permission or something, which is a shame. Still, you get more than enough of a sense of how good the work is. I mean, the circumstances of this recording were sad. I can tell you this. Lloyd had been undergoing a renaissance and of interest in his music because of his own recordings on Albany and Lyrita's recordings of his symphonies under Edward Downes. And then he wrote he was always a vocal guy. He was an opera guy. And he wanted to do big works for voices. And so he wrote this and the Symphonic Mass and some other things late in his life. And when this came out, he got word. He got word that Gramophone had decided that the English musical establishment or something decided he needed to be taken down a peg. Those were his words to me. But that there was a movement afoot to cast aspersions on his output and on his style because he was becoming popular. He was becoming too popular, and there were certain jealousies going on there and stuff. I mean, how true all of it is, I have no idea. The classical music world is full of gossipy, malicious nonsense. But I wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it that way. It really wouldn't surprise me. And so the entire production, I think, gave him something of a bad taste. But the work itself is glorious. Music is fabulous. Whatever the circumstances, I'm just giving you a little, gossipy background to the whole thing. I mean, just the very idea that somebody needs to be put in their place because they're doing well. I mean, that's so classical music. It really is. There's nothing more suspicious than success, popularity. Goodness gracious. Then we've got this delightful disc, the Third Symphony, with his wonderful orchestral suite, Charade, if you're British. Yeah, you should really hear Charade. It's wonderful. The movements are Student Power, LSD, March in, Flying Saucers, Pop Song, and Party Politics. I mean, come on. You know, the guy had a sense of humor and the ability to express it musically. It's delicious. This is with the BBC Philharmonic, conducted by Lloyd. And then we've got this thing, his orchestral suite number 1 from The Surf, and his cello concerto, which is a very late piece, maybe one of his last. This is with the Albany Symphony under David Allen Miller on Albany. I mean, I've got duplicates of all this stuff because, you know, that's how it wound up down here in the Overflow Room. And here is a litany. This is another wonderful, 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 cool, fabulous choral piece. It's in 4 movements. It's really a choral symphony. Allegro Drammatico, Allegro, Adagio, and Vivace. 50 minutes long, and it's conducted by George Lloyd with the Philharmonia, and it's really cool. It's just a terrific piece. These late choral works, these 3 late choral works, there's also a requiem, I believe, but these 3 big orchestral and choral pieces are just terrific. Then we have Iernen, the opera in 3 acts. Let's see, who's in this? Oh, you're not going to know anybody, so it doesn't make any difference. On Albany, he actually got a chance to record his operas. Later in his life, he wrote a couple of them. They're early. And gradually one of the stones became a woman. Ooh, baby. Yeah, it's one of those Celtic twilight things, you know. Fun to listen to. Definitely fun to listen to. And last but not least, this is a disc issued on Vergo. You know, Vergo is the record publishing arm of Schott Music, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Vergo, a division of Schott Music. See, I told you. I was right. For a change. This was a wonderful project, a really, really enjoyable project by Guy Livingston, pianist. What if 60 composers from 18 countries wrote 60 pieces under 1 minute each for solo piano? Well, here it is. It's called Don't Panic, 60 Seconds for Piano. I loved this disc. It was a wonderful project, beautifully well realized. You get a riotous variety of styles. Do you really want to know who the 60 composers are? You'll have to get the disc. I'm not reading them all. But yeah, it was tremendous fun. It's under L for Livingston, and I will probably never find it. I'm so happy I'm going through this because I enjoyed this enormously when it came out, then filed it under L. And I mean, Guy Livingston is a terrific pianist, a wonderful artist, and a creative guy. But you got to remember the name. And you got to remember where you file it. And I wasn't going to put it under W for Vergo or S for 60 or 60 or I don't know. So he's there under Livingston. And unless I'm looking at the L's, he gets kind of lost, this way with all this other stuff. But this was a brilliant project. And if you're interested in contemporary piano music and contemporary composers and, the wild variety of styles, which is 20th century classical music, well, 21st century classical music, actually. This was 2001, so it's 21st century classical music. It was recorded in 1999, so it's both. Give it a shot. You'll really enjoy it. Oh, it's published by Schott, so yes, it's a shot, without a doubt. Really kind of cool. So there you have it, my friends. Keep on listening and take care.